Okay, let's do this. In 3, 2, 1. It's Thrive time! Beautiful people, welcome and welcome back to Thrive Out Loud. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. And as always, it's such a joy, such a pleasure sitting on the other side of the mic, sharing a little bit of my life with you. Yesterday, we spoke about a season of planting. I asked very vital questions on where are you planted, where are you, what environment do you find yourself in, and what are you doing about that environment you're in, and most importantly, where is God in everything you do? Where's God in your plans? Where's God in your environment? And are your plans aligned with His? We often make the grave mistake of only involving God at the convenient parts and points of our plans, but we need to be aligned to His vision for our lives. We need to be aligned to His plans for our lives. We need to be part of His bigger picture and not only use Him where it suits us. So today I want us to have a chat about being rooted. A seed that has been planted but is not rooted is just but a plant. Without roots, you are merely just a seed that has been thrown under the ground and nothing much will come out of it. For today's word, we will be reading from the book of Matthew, chapter 16, verses 3 to 6, and it says, "And he spoke many things to them in parables, saying, Behold, the sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some seeds fell beside the road, and the birds came and ate them up. Others fell on the rocky places, where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up, because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun had risen, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away." Which drives me right into what I wanted us to talk about today. Where are you rooted? Today's topic is all about rooting, and the main vital question that I'll keep drawing our attention back to is, where are you rooted? Where is your identity as a person? Where is your tree anchored? I think it boils down to the soil that you were planted in. But even if you're planted in good soil, but you still don't go through the process of rooting in the right conditions, be rooting to the right depth, then I'm afraid you are just but a seed that can never really blossom, a seed that can never bear fruit. Who are you? What affects you as a person? Have you been grounded enough to be able to withstand everything that life throws at you? I'll make an example about a tree, any type of tree, a tree that has been planted and it happens to be in an area that sometimes gets very heavy winds and very heavy rains, and then the fateful day comes when there's a very heavy storm, it is raining, it is pouring, and there is just heavy winds left, right, center. And because this is a tree that is not deeply rooted in the ground where it's in, this is a tree, it's almost superficial, it's almost right on the surface, because immediately when the wind starts blowing at the tree, it falls down to the ground. The strength of the tree, the way the tree is able to withstand any and everything that is thrown at it, boils down to the roots, how deep the roots are, how grounded this tree is, how firm it is on the soil. It all boils down to the roots, which draws me back once again to my question: where are you rooted? What is it that you're rooted in? Do you give your seed a chance to be rooted, or are you just in a hurry to blossom? Because let's face it, we live in a world where we want everyone to know that we only having things going great. Everyone has to know that it's all butterflies and marshmallows. We are not trying to look weak. We are not trying to look real. We are not trying to be vulnerable. We are not trying to be caught in a moment of weakness, because God forbid, if people know that you're human and you go through life, we are out here trying to look perfect, complete, and like we don't get in, like life doesn't serve us any curveballs. But that is not how life has been designed to be. How are you as a person? How is it that you only want to hurry to a state of blossoming, but you don't want to take the time to really root yourself and be grounded in faith, grounded in God's love for all of us, grounded in the love that we should have for one another as human beings. The thing about the season of rooting, and I think this is what makes it most unattractive to a lot of people, is the fact that rooting is a thing that is unseen. It happens between you, your seed in the ground, and no one on the outside can really ever see when the season of rooting is taking place in your life. And we are in such a hurry for being seen. We're in such a hurry for the finished product that we want to hurry through the rooting process as well, forgetting that it affects the strength of the tree. The analogy I made about the tree that falls during heavy rains and winds, it's because it hasn't been rooted right. It is not fully grounded. That is why it easily gets shaken. It doesn't even matter how big the tree is, but if the roots are weak, if the roots are not firmly planted in the ground, if they're not grounded, then it's a big problem. So many of us cannot stand the fact that in your season of rooting, it looks like things are not going your way. It looks like things are dying. It looks like people are just leaving you all alone. It looks like you're being abandoned. It looks like you are losing a lot of things. It looks very downward. It looks very backwards. It looks like something is dying. Because even if you look at the process of planting a tree, you first planted and you put your seeds inside, you cover them up, you bury them with soil, and you basically water it for a very long time without seeing anything, without yielding any results. And if you're a person who lives for instant gratification, then this is the point where you might give up because it looks like nothing is happening. You might even think maybe this tree has died. You might think maybe it died. Maybe it didn't really, catch on. And it's this point in life, or this season. It's in this exact season where that invisible faith has to carry you through, where you need to remain firm in your faith, where you need to remain firm in your belief that something is going to come. Remember, roots are vital for the strength of, it could be the plant, it could be a flower, it could be you as a person. Without being rooted, without being grounded, who are you really? How do you define yourself in the absence of being rooted? This is why in today's society, in a world where there are so many absent fathers, the world is in chaos because children are running around without being rooted, without being grounded. Children are running around without an identity. How do you identify as a person you don't know who your father is? Your father's not even trying to look for you. Do you see what's so wrong with the world? Rooting is a thing that takes time. Rooting is a thing that will give you the strength to stand firm in the face of everything that life has to throw at you. It takes so much time, but in that time, you need to become intentional about what it is that you're being rooted in. You need to become intentional about where your roots are going, where you are being grounded in. Because if you're not careful, you'll find yourself in clay soil. And this is soil where nothing can grow. No matter how deep your roots grow, this is a place where nothing can grow. Become rooted in God's love for you. Become rooted in faith, which is sometimes invisible and needs you to keep it and stand in it firmly, even when it looks like nothing is changing. Become rooted in His mercy for you. Become rooted in the fact that you are meant to be exactly where you are right now, and things may not always look the way you had planned for them to look, but become rooted and stand firm in the fact that great things are making their way to you, and you just need to believe that for you. In this time of rooting, you've now planted a seed and you're waiting for it to blossom. But there's a very vital step in between planting, rooting, and it blossoming that maybe many of us might miss. Is the fact that you still need to continue nurturing the seed even when it looks like it's dying, even when it looks like it may have died, even when it looks like it's not really coming to the party, even when it looks like maybe it might not blossom after all, even when it looks like the soil is way too dry and there is no way anything can blossom out of the soil. Continue to nurture that environment, continue to nurture that seed, continue to water it, to give it the right amount of nutrients, to feed it and pour into it, so that when it's time to blossom, it will flourish. You don't stop watering it just because it looks like nothing is happening. You don't stop working on yourself just because it looks like you're in your dry season. You don't stop praying over your life just because everything looks like dry bones. You don't stop working on that project just because you are not getting the funding. You don't stop studying just because your results are not coming out the way you wanted them to come out. You don't stop praying over your partner, over your children, just because they continue to do the very things you're trying to pray against. You don't stop praying over your life just because everything seems to be going sideways. You don't stop praying for your family just because it's so dysfunctional and it looks so hopeless and you can't see a way out. You don't stop watering the seed just because it doesn't really look like it might become anything. It's not up to you to decide what it will turn into, but do your part. Water it, nurture it, feed it, pour into it, and stand firm in God's love for you above everything else. Hey there! Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Thrive Out Loud, a space where we unearth and explore different topics around self-awareness, self-acceptance, and self-improvement, all on our terms. If you loved giving this a listen, please leave a massive thumbs up and a review, letting me know exactly what stood out for you and how you resonated with today's topic. If you have a cool new topic you'd like us to dissect and discuss, I'd love to hear back from you. Please don't be shy to reach out. I'll be sure to leave my details down below or wherever it is that you're listening from. Please do interact with the podcast. Don't just live, thrive.